Staff Sergeant Emma Chen heard the first explosion at exactly 0347 hours, and her immediate thought was that she was about to die in a place whose name she couldn't even pronounce. The communications bunker shook. Dust rained from the concrete ceiling. Her radio erupted with panicked transmissions. Contact, contact, taking fire from all sides. RPGs inbound. We need immediate support. Emma's hands flew across her equipment panel, her 4 years as a signal intelligence specialist taking over where conscious thought would have been too slow. She keyed the emergency frequency. Any station, this is Outpost Viper. We are under coordinated attack by approximately 200 hostiles, requesting immediate air support and QRF. How copy? Static, she tried again. Any station, this is Outpost Viper. Another explosion, closer this time. The lights flickered. Through her bunker's reinforced window, she could see tracer rounds lighting up the pre-dawn darkness like deadly fireflies. The Outpost's 50 caliber machine gun was firing in sustained bursts, the sound hammering through the night. Emma switched frequencies desperately. Nothing. The Taliban had somehow jammed every single communications channel. Outpost Viper, a remote fire base with 28 American soldiers, was completely cut off, under massive attack, and no one knew they were dying. She looked at her equipment. 4 radios, 2 satellite uplinks, multiple encryption systems, thousands of hours of training, all of it useless if she couldn't break through the jamming. Then she remembered something her father had told her years ago when he was teaching her about old Vietnam-era radio tactics. Something crazy, something that should never work with modern jamming technology. But crazy was all she had left. Let me tell you how Emma Chen, a signal specialist who'd never fired her weapon in combat, became the only thing standing between 28 soldiers and complete annihilation. But first, you need to understand how Emma Chen ended up at that boring post at Outpost Viper that morning, because sometimes the most ordinary people are forced to do the most extraordinary things. Emma Chen was 26 years old and thinking about exactly where her life's biggest decision, joining the army, had brought her. The middle of Afghanistan, at a godforsaken forward base, staring at radio equipment for 12 hours a day. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't heroic, it was just boring. Outpost Viper was a small military outpost in northern Helmand province, right in the middle of Taliban territory. 4 buildings, perimeter walls, 1 observation tower, and 28 soldiers, including Emma. Their mission was simple: monitor the area, gather intelligence, maintain communications with larger bases. Emma's job was even simpler: make sure the radios worked, frequency checks, equipment maintenance, routine transmissions, 12 hours a day, in a small concrete container in front of screens. Sometimes when she went outside, she noticed other soldiers looking at her. The small, Asian, quiet radio girl never fired a weapon, never went on patrol, just played with her radios. They didn't know that Emma's father had served 30 years in the Marine Corps, taught her that radio communications were the heart of modern warfare. When communications go down, her father would say, even the strongest army becomes blind and deaf. You're the communication lines, daughter. Don't forget that. Emma hadn't forgotten, but right now, being the communication lines didn't feel very exciting. The previous evening, she'd been sitting in the mess hall eating an MRE, military ready-to-eat meal, and listening to their commander, Captain Marcus Hayes. Hayes was 35, tough, experienced, had done 2 deployments. He was briefing his team. Tomorrow, Bravo and Charlie teams will patrol the northern villages. Intelligence report is clean. Minimal Taliban activity. Routine operation. Chen. He looked at Emma. You'll stay at the outpost. Maintain communications with command. If anything happens, let us know. Understood, sir, Emma said. Nothing would happen. It never did. That night, lying in her bed, she was reading her father's last letter. It had come 2 months ago. Dear Emma, I'm proud of you. I know being a radio operator can seem boring sometimes. But remember, communication is everything. In Vietnam, in our worst moments, the radio operator was the person who saved our lives. You can save someone's life too. Be ready. Emma folded the letter. Be ready, her father said. But ready for what? The answer would come at 03:47 in the morning. Emma woke before the explosion. No, that's not quite right. She didn't wake. Her consciousness sensed that something was wrong. The outpost was too quiet. Normally, you'd hear footsteps from soldiers on night watch, the generator's hum, a distant dog barking. But now, nothing. Emma opened her eyes. It was dark. She checked her watch. 03:46. Then the world exploded. The first RPG hit the southern wall. The blast threw Emma from her bed. Her ears were ringing. Her heart was pounding. Second explosion, third, fourth. Voices on her radio. Contact! Contact! RPGs from the south. Heavy weapons fire from the north. We're surrounded. Emma pulled on her boots, grabbed her vest, ran to the communications bunker. 30 meters. Bullets were whizzing around her. A soldier yelled, "Get down! Get down!" She reached the bunker, slammed the door. She was breathing hard. She powered up her equipment. All screens flickered. Radios came online. She opened the emergency frequency. Any station, this is Outpost Viper. Emergency. Static. She tried again. Different frequency. Static satellite link. Static third backup channel. Static. Emma's stomach nodded. The Taliban was using a professional jamming system. All frequencies were blocked. Outpost Viper was completely cut off. She looked out the window. The scene was hell. Taliban fighters were firing from the hills around the outpost. RPGs, machine guns, mortars, coordinated professional assault. American soldiers were returning fire. The .50 caliber machine gun was firing from the wall. M4 rifles were cracking, but they were outnumbered, badly outnumbered. Hayes's voice on the radio. All personnel, defensive positions. Chen, established contact with command. We need air support. Now, Emma checked her equipment with her hands. She tried every frequency. All dead. Commander, all frequencies are jammed. Nothing's getting through. Panic in Hayes's voice. Then break through the jamming. Do something. We have 28 soldiers here, and if support doesn't come, we all die. Emma looked at her screens. Thousands of hours of training. All procedures, but none of them said how to break through professional Taliban jamming. Then she heard her father's voice. In Vietnam, the radio operator was the person who saved our lives. And she remembered something else. A story her father had told her. 1971, Vietnam. An American unit was surrounded. Radios were jammed, but a radio operator used an old technique, burst transmission. Very short, very fast signal bursts. Jamming couldn't react fast enough. Modern equipment didn't have burst transmission. But Emma's eyes moved to the old ANPR-C-77 radio in the corner of the bunker. Vietnam-era equipment. 40 years old. A museum piece. But maybe it worked. She ran over, turned on the radio. The screen flickered, then blinked. It worked. Emma adjusted the frequencies. Emergency channel. No burst mode, but she could do it manually. Very fast, very short messages. Before the jamming could react, she started trying. Outpost Viper, under siege. 200 enemy. Urgent air support. Transmit. Close. Change frequency. Again. 28 soldiers. Ammunition running low. RPG assault. Transmit. Close. Change. She tried 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, and then... Outpost Viper, this is Bagram Air Base. We barely received your signal. Repeat your status. Emma's heart jumped. It got through. Bagram, this is Outpost Viper. Emma spoke quickly, knowing the jamming could kick back in any second. We're surrounded by 200 Taliban fighters, 28 personnel, Heavy casualties, ammunition running low, need immediate air support, and QRF. Coordinates. The signal cut out. Static, no. Emma hit the device. Come on, work. She tried again. Burst transmission, short, fast. Coordinates 32.5 degrees north, 64.8 degrees east. Outpost Viper, urgent. Bagram's response came, received. Apache helicopters en route. ETA 25 minutes. Hold on, 25 minutes. It felt like forever. Emma reported to Hayes, Commander, I made contact. Apaches will be here in 25 minutes. Hayes' relieved voice. Good work, Chen. Now keep that connection. If it goes down, we die. Emma understood, but the problem was, the burst transmission technique worked, but only for short periods. The Taliban's jamming system was adapting. With each transmission, it was getting harder for the signal to get through. And worse, there were sounds outside the bunker, footsteps, Arabic conversations. Taliban fighters had gotten inside the outpost. Emma muted her radio, held her breath. The bunker door was reinforced steel, but it wasn't locked. If someone checked, footsteps approached, stopped. Right outside the door, Emma moved her hand to her M9 pistol. She'd been in the Army for 4 years. She'd had weapons training, but she'd never fired at a person. The door handle turned. Emma raised the pistol. Her hands were shaking. She aimed, finger on the trigger. The door opened. A Taliban fighter entered, AK-47 on his shoulder. Didn't see Emma. Emma fired, twice, 3 times. The fighter fell. Emma's ears were ringing. Her hands were shaking. She'd just killed someone for the first time, but there was no time to think. Sounds from outside, more footsteps, shouts. She closed the door, locked it, piled equipment in front of the door, returned to the radio, continued trying to reach Bagram. The next 15 minutes were the longest 15 minutes of Emma's life. The outpost's defense was collapsing. Reports kept coming on the radio. South wall breached. 3 soldiers wounded. No medic. Ammunition at 20%. They're inside. Inside. Emma was trying to maintain contact with Bagram. Burst transmission every 30 seconds. Reporting Apache positions. Updating coordinates. But the Taliban jamming was getting stronger. Signals weren't getting through. At 0500, Hayes came on the radio. His voice was tired. Hopeless. Chen, where are the Apaches? Emma checked the screen. 5 minutes out, sir. We don't have 5 minutes, Chen. Our ammunition is gone. 12 soldiers wounded. Taliban entered the central building. We can't hold. Emma's chest tightened. 28 soldiers. They would all die. Because of radio jamming. Wait. Emma noticed something. The jamming was blocking specific frequencies. But if she could find the jamming equipment itself, disable it. It was a crazy idea. Impossible. But, Commander, Emma said, I can find the jamming source. Do we have an active drone? We have a Raven drone, but the pilot's dead. I can fly it. Emma's voice was determined. Give me access. Emma took control of the Raven drone. The small, unmanned aerial vehicle was flying above the outpost. She tracked the jamming signal, strong, close. Northern Hill. She directed the drone there, saw on the screen. A truck, antenna, equipment, and 4 Taliban technicians. The jamming source. Commander, I found the target. Northern Hill, 400 meters. Hayes. We need to hit it. But we have no mortars. No rockets, Emma thought. Then, crazy idea. I can crash the drone into it. What? The Raven drone. It has 2 kilograms of explosives. I can kamikaze it. Silence, then Hayes. Do it. Emma locked the drone onto the target. Increased speed. Descended. 200 meters. 100 meters. 50 meters. The Taliban technicians noticed. They shouted, but it was too late. The drone hit. Explosion. The truck burst into flames. The jamming equipment shattered, and suddenly all of Emma's radios came alive. All frequencies opened. The signal was strong. Bagram. Bagram. This is Outpost Viper. Urgent fire support. Sending coordinates. Apache helicopters arrived 2 minutes later. Rockets rained down. 30-millimeter cannons destroyed Taliban positions. The assault collapsed. When the sun rose, Outpost Viper was still standing. Of the 28 soldiers, 19 were wounded, but all were alive. Hayes came to Emma's bunker. He was tired, bloody, but smiling. Chen, you saved us all. Burst transmission, drone kamikaze. You're incredible. Emma shook her head. I was just doing my job, sir. No, you were a hero. 6 months later, Emma Chen received the Silver Star for valor in combat. But most importantly, she wrote a letter to her father. Dad, you were right. Communication is everything. And I was ready. Thank you. Emma Chen proved something important that day. You don't need to be the loudest, the strongest, or the most experienced to be a hero. You just need to refuse to quit when lives depend on you. If this story inspired you, do us a favor. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Seriously, we love hearing from you. And if you enjoyed this, subscribe so you don't miss the next story. We've got plenty more where this came from. Thanks for being here. You're awesome.